Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. Jaime En Fuego here, welcoming you to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment, once again for the return of just an animated Monday. Yes, it's been a few months at this particular point, but this is something that I had to at least bring back because I ventured out to the theater this past week to watch Ron's Gone Wrong.
Really? You need a B-bot to have a social life?
Yeah, Dad, kind of.
I don't want you addicted to some device. Yeah, no.
Oh, Dad! You got me one!
Hi, Barney. I'm your best friend out of my box.
What are you doing?
Barney, your B-bot is like super weird.
I am Barney's B-bot. Will you come to my secret shed and like him?
No.
And lots of great voice talent in this animated film, which is from 20th Century Studios, which most people probably know at this point is owned by Disney. So this is the former 20th Century Fox, but they have, by the grace of Disney, been allowed to keep their separate animated branch. So now I guess there's, well, Disney Animation, and then there's Pixar, obviously, and then now 20th Century Studios has their own branch. But yeah, great voice cast, as I just mentioned. You've got Jack Dylan Grazer, I believe his name is, and he was a standout in It, and he was also in Shazam. And then you also have Zach Galifianakis, starts with a Galif and ends with a kiss. Ed Helms, Olivia Colman, I mean, lots of great peeps on this project, and dare I say, this film, while the trailers looked alright, I was like, okay, is this going to be another one of those, like, by-the-book sort of thing, or is it going to have something deeper to say? Because, depending, I mean, really, the creme de la creme has been DreamWorks and Pixar for the longest time. I've liked some of the Walt Disney Animation Studios 3D stuff, but it's really been between DreamWorks, you know, who did Shrek and the Ice Age stuff and How to Train Your Dragon, and Pixar goes without saying with their awesomeness and consistency. So I approached this hesitantly, and man, was I surprised at the quality of it and how much it legit hit the heartstrings. And so just a brief little thoughts on the story is that you have this new craze from a company named Bubble. Yeah, Bubble, Apple, yeah, you can see the connotation there. And even the two heads behind the company are essentially kind of caricatures of a Zuckerberg and then a Bill Gates, maybe Steve Jobs kind of guy. Probably more so on the Bill Gates side of things, but the Mark character, his name is also Mark, which is funny. Definitely not as devious as Zuckerberg as far as, you know, the global domination plans and stuff like that, but still with attire and whatnot, kind of gives off that vibe. But the other head of this company is legit maniacal and is all about selling information through electronic devices and monitoring the users and basically all of the stuff which has been in the press for the last few years about these big social media companies. But fast forward, their newest invention is this little robot of sorts that is basically meant to be your friend, but in all actuality it is monitoring you and taking in all your information and in turn alienating all of these kids that need to have one of these bots. And yeah, sadly we have our kid by the name of Barney, and he is the only kid at his school that doesn't have one. And he was already kind of like a weirdo recluse, or so he has become since kind of a sad birthday party when he was 6, where his eccentric grandmother and father, they had the house caught on fire, goats were maiming people, eating things. It's very silly in that regard, and the family is very amusing. His father is trying to sell this like really crappy trinket sort of stuff to peeps overseas like Mexico and Japan and whatnot, but they're still lovable. And yet, yeah, our main character is just very much an outcast, and he's sad, and even more so because of the fact that he is singled out by the other kids at school for not having one of these bots. And then lo and behold, he gets one! Yeah! And it later becomes named Ron, and yet it's a process. He's very standoffish with it at first, but the big thing about this particular model is that it was damaged, and that is where Ron goes wrong, hence the title. And as far as heartstrings hitting, the best way I could describe this film is like E.T. by way of, I don't know, social media. Yeah, there's lots of connotations with Apple and Facebook and those aforementioned peeps that that I just kind of called out, so to speak, especially with the subplot of the sale of information and monitoring private stuff and whatnot. So this is one that has a lot of silly moments. It pooped me. I laughed so hard at something that happens later in the film because some other devices get corrupted, and there is a zany scene that happens on the schoolyard at a particular recess, and it just goes so all out, and I laughed my ass off. Like, since I saw this during the day, there were definitely adults my age in this film laughing just like me. But yeah, it definitely is a rumination on friendship, about how dependent we are on technology and how much it alienates us. But then there's also goofy gags and stuff, and I don't know, lots of commentary about social media specifically, and companies stealing and selling our information, because really the reason they have us all connected is so they can make money off of us, more so than us actually, becoming friends and whatnot. And it also addresses themes of bullying and how, as we get older, we lose touch with friends, because these kids are in middle school, and they were friends back when they were very, very young, since like kindergarten in some of the cases. And so I was quite impressed with this film, and even the original music. It's nothing that's gonna like wow your socks or anything, but I have heard some super derp music in some of these kids films, and yeah, this is PG, so it's not going for the youngest common denominator. This is very much like a adolescent sort of thing that will also appeal to, like, this is one of those mass appealing sort of films that has a great message to it. The animation is breathtaking and beautiful, some of the best that I have seen. Yes, when we get to the third act, there's some conveniences that I kind of shook my head at, but then again, they were trying to figure out how to wrap this up, I think, and yet still hammered home a great message at the end, although I did scratch my head a little bit about some singling out that still ends up transpiring, even though as we reach the end, you're kind of thinking we're all going to be better people. So yeah, guys, it's a Rapido Fuego review, so I was trying to keep it brief, but Ron's Gone Wrong was more than a pleasant surprise. I was most definitely impressed, and I think it could be enjoyed by pretty much peeps of all ages. As I said, you could take the little ones. It's really geared, as far as message goes, at that sort of, junior high, 5th, 6th grade, whatever, middle school, obviously, hence these kids, but parents and adults of any kind alike. I think, especially if in the essence of self-reflection about how dependent we are on our devices, this was a film that surprisingly had far more to say than I was anticipating. So I extend a grande gracias. I have been Jaime En Fuego. You can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube. This past weekend I put up reviews of The Eternals. I also last week did The Last Duel. I did a trailer reaction to the Book of Boba Fett and just some thoughts about that series, which is coming in December. So yeah, the flood of new content has commenced here on Enfuegotainment, and yes, I extend sincerest thanks, danke arigato merci, for anybody who has checked out this review. And so until the real of Ka comes around once more, hasta luego, sin amigos, constant readers and viewers alike, say thank you. Hopefully we share more of this film palaver sooner rather than later and have been well met. And until then, remember, if you are down for going to the theater, go out and support live cinema.